What up, fam?
Live. Keep 1 million show.
We're about to go on.
Sending all y'all invites to come watch.
And online and listen. The number 2, KRDP.com, a service of Desert Soul Media.
Views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Desert Soul Media and its board of directors. Thank you for listening.
This week on the Keep 1 Million show, for the first time in franchise history, the Denver Nuggets go on to the NBA Finals at the same time as Carmelo Anthony announces his retirement. We're going to talk about that, as well as what is next for the Los Angeles Lakers. We're also going to get into the Celtics stave off elimination in Miami and now go back to Boston for Game 5. Can Jimmy Butler in Miami close them out in Boston? We're going to get into that, as well as the Lomachenko Haney fight. Was there some controversy there? We're going to talk about that, and who is the real pound for pound best in the world. We're also going to talk about everything that happened in the past week of the sports world. So keep it locked right here on the Keep 1 Million show.
That's jam right there. Right? Oh, we got 3 minutes?
Yeah.
Back.
Yeah, 3.
Oh, it's locked.
Oh, it's locked.
I unlocked it. All right, fam. Back. About to get this on. Gonna be a good show. Tell your peoples. Tell your peoples.
Uh-oh.
You're not listening. You ain't too bright. Let's do this. Talk about little Carmelo Anthony, Lomachenko, Haney on Lomachenko. Looking like a good year for boxing, man. Shoot. Spence and Crawford. What else we talking about? Look like Boston's gonna get another win. Heat look like they ran out of gas. You do not own this music. You do not own this music.
Right now. You're a 1?
Yeah.
Which one are you?
One.
One. And we're live. Keep it 1 million show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
And it is May 25th, 2023. We are live, and it is Game 5 of the Eastern Conference Finals, and it looks like another blowout. As the Boston Celtics is up by 20 on Miami Heat, 85
Yeah, about 20.
to 65. And in the end of the third quarter, I don't know what happened. Looks like they Miami was like, hey, we're gonna try to win this at home, I guess. Yeah, it seems like they just mailed this one in. What do you think? They just mailed this one in here?
Put him like 3. What I believe is pretty much, I think they just probably ran out of gas. You think about it, they've been out. They're the 8th seed. Nobody expected them to get this far, and Boston just turned it up. Do I believe that Miami can come back and win this? Anything can happen, but I believe if they're gonna have a chance to win this whole series, then it's gonna be in Miami.
Right. You have Jimmy Butler, who is basically right now the most outstanding player in the playoffs, and it seems like they have ran out of gas. Right now down 18 points. Jimmy Butler only has 14 points. Bam Adebayo only has 16 points. Duncan Robinson with 12. Martin with 12. And nobody else has even over 5. Oh, well, you have Hainsmith with 7, but no one else with over 8 points in this game. And yeah, it really seems like they're mailing it in.
And that's the thing with Miami. They depended a lot on role players, and it just shows you that your big boys got to show up.
Right. On the other hand, you have Boston with 4 players in double figures, with Marcus Smart again leading the way with 21 points, Tatum with 17,
Yeah.
White with 19, and Brown with 19 as well. It seemed like when it was before Game 4, everyone was talking about this how is the Celtics it's over for the Celtics, and what's next for the Celtics. Seems like they do have some life left, but maybe it's just staving off elimination until the inevitable. There hasn't been any team, 150 teams have not come back from a 3-0 deficit in the playoffs.
In the NBA.
Yes.
MLB,
Playoffs.
Boston Red Sox did it, so it might be
Right.
a Boston thing. You know, baseball is a less physically taxing sport. No disrespect to any baseball players, because I'm a baseball fan. You know, but it's not as physically taxing as football or hockey or basketball. But it's I hate to see it done because you know I am not a Boston fan by any sport. Yeah, I'm just not. And Miami Spoelstra's a good coach. He'll figure it out, and I believe that Miami can close it out at home.
Yeah, I think they just really just threw up the white flag, and you know, they're mailing it in. Now on the other side, you have Denver finally making it to the NBA Finals. They swept the Lakers in 4 games.
Yeah.
With Jokic with another triple-double. I mean, if you don't know anything about the Nuggets at this point and Nikola Jokic, you just don't want to by this point, because it's like, you know, there's a narrative that they're boring, that they're not compelling, and whatever. But are you even watching the games? Are you watching this team?
They're not boring.
Are you watching these players?
They're not boring at all.
You know, Jokic had 30, 14, and 13. That's his 8th triple-double in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean,
that is a record.
Jokic is the truth. He's the truth. He's the truth. I mean, when you look at his game, he just has a really good all-around game. He's a point center. I mean, man, you know, he can bring the ball up. Yeah, I mean, with his jump shot, he doesn't even jump off the floor like that. He's hitting threes. He got some low post moves. I mean, he just balled out and just swept LeBron out of the playoffs, swept the Lakers out of the playoffs. It's crazy.
Yeah, and what's hilarious is LeBron James, after it, you know, talking about he doesn't know if he's going to play again, and changes the narrative from the Lakers being swept to LeBron possible retirement. I don't see nothing wrong with it, because I like to see players, and mainly black players, control their own narrative. But there's people that are mad about that because they want to, stomp on their grave and kick them while they're down, and they can't, because now everyone's talking about, oh wow, is he going to retire? He's going to come back. What is he going to do? And now that you're talking about the Lakers off season and what can they do to keep him, namely with trying to bring in Kyrie Irving, trading away, D'Lo and Rui Hachimura and all these other, hypothetical moves. But we cannot talk about, who's the greatest at this point. Yes, stat-wise, LeBron James has all the stats. But as far as in the playoffs, championships, he has 4 rings, but there's a lot of holes in these playoff runs. So, what did you think about this whole narrative or non-narrative of LeBron James after this sweep?
If he decides to retire, then he'll go down as the second best player to ever play the game. I mean, I'm not going to take that away from him. You just say he has holes in the playoff pitches, but like a lot of players do though. I mean, Michael Jordan didn't win every playoff series. A lot of people forget about the 6 years before he won his first title. A lot of people forget about the Wizard years and stuff like that. Magic Johnson didn't win all his playoff series. I mean, Steph Curry and them didn't win all their playoff series. So I don't see how that's going to bring his legacy down. Now, if he decides to retire, that's his prerogative. That's his thing. I've heard little things like, oh, he'll only stay away from the game for a year to rest his body, and then maybe go to a team that draft Bronny, a contender team that'll draft Bronny, so he can play with Bronny and hope and maybe win a ring that way, or because he's only going to do a contender team. And I don't know how valuable that is. I think that's just hypotheticals right there. I believe if he stepped away from the game today, he'll be fine. His legacy will be intact. I mean, he scored 40 points in his last game. I mean, it wasn't like they got blown out in any of those games. Yes, it was a sweep. It was a sweep. Nobody wants to get swept, but it was a real close sweep. Denver was just a better team. They are the best team in the NBA. They're the most solid team, and they might mess around and win this whole thing.
You know, that's all true. And the thing about his son, you know, coming out, there's not no guarantees that he's one and done player.
That is true.
You know, he may not even start because there's the players on that team that are better than him.
Mm-hmm.
That are, you know, higher ranking players that most likely is going to start over him.
Mm-hmm.
And
there's other high school players that's better than him.
Right. He has a lot of growing to do as far as, you know, learning the game. So I think it'd be better for him to stay for 2 seasons. I think it is wishful thinking for LeBron to want to play with his son.
Mm-hmm.
I would think he would have to stay 2 or 3 more seasons for that to happen. But if he retires, it'll be, you know, he's one of the greatest in history. You know, he's gonna have multiple retirement, you know, ceremonies. His jersey's gonna be in the rafters in a few places.
Yeah, in Cleveland,
you know,
definitely.
So for it to be a narrative changer, maybe it is, but it still is reality, because after the whole, you know, let's stomp on their grave with being swept, that will be the next thing anyway to talk about. Hey, is he gonna stay? Is he gonna go? Is he gonna retire? What he's gonna do? He has only 1 year left on his contract, so he could just play out next season. You know, announce his retirement. Say he's gonna play out next season.
Yeah.
Get the whole, you know, the whole tour. You know, the whole retirement tour, where all the teams give him gifts and everything, and then go out and try to win next year. But they did overachieve, so you can't. You gotta give them that. You gotta give them props for being a 7th seed from the play-in to make it to the Western Conference Finals, beating the defending champions, and, you know, getting swept. Hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, they definitely overachieved. I mean, the way they were in the beginning of the season and everything before they did the trades. Whew, to now, you gotta give them props. Definitely gotta give them all the props in the world.
Right, and going back to the game, yeah, it's a wrap. It's 22-point lead in the 4th quarter.
Yeah, it's done.
Yeah, they waved the white flag. They're already thinking about going back to Miami.
Yeah.
So you know, Game 6 in Miami is gonna be a Saturday probably.
Yeah, Saturday.
And when we go to our next segment, we're gonna get into what is going on with Ja Morant. I don't know if you guys seen, he had some cryptic, questionable Instagram post, and we're gonna get into that and talk about that situation and a lot more. So keep it locked right here. Is the Keep 1 Million Show.
Is this tree good
I
for
hate when that
climbing?
happens. I was going to say something, I forgot what I was going to say.
What is this
I hate when that happens. It was something to do with LeBron, too, man. It was something to do with what we were talking about.
Safety in your home.
is a good first
I
step.
need to start bringing
but
my
you can do
notepad
more.
in.
Always keep your guns locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Okay, we're back. Keep 1 million show. I'm Dwayne,
Sean P.
and we're getting into what happened with Ja Morant. Now he
Yeah, I read about that.
had a couple of cryptic Instagram posts where he said he loved his mom, he loved his dad, and then he said bye. You know, with a picture of himself, and everybody. Everybody kind of, it was kind of like, wow, what is up with that? And, that obviously went viral. And after that, actually, there was a wellness check on Ja Morant from the police.
The police?
Yeah. They had went to his house, and I'm not sure who called, but they did a wellness check to make sure if he was okay, and it said he said he posted that to say he was getting off of social media.
Oh, okay.
The
Okay.
Shelby County Sheriff's Office had checked on him. Yeah, I'm not sure who called or who, was concerned. Maybe it was his parents, maybe it was somebody who called because, So it's kind of, people are actually upset about this because hopefully he's doing fine. Hopefully it's nothing serious, mental health is serious and everything like that. And there are people that are upset about it because is he using mental health as an excuse? Is he basically trying to once again change the narrative and kind of fall victim, put himself as a victim or whatnot instead of just kind of owning up and apologizing. I mean, he did have that statement, but that was kind of like a well-written, lawyer type statement. So, not sure if that's a real statement. So, I mean, what do you think about the issue with Ja Morant?
Well, I take stuff like this very seriously because some years ago I had a good friend of mine take his own life. His birthday would have been yesterday, which is my daughter's birthday. Was yesterday. She turned 5, and when she was born, he was no longer with us, but he sent a similar message to his mom. Either texted or he talked to her real quick, but it was a message nonetheless. And he was like, yeah, just make sure you tell everybody I love them and this, that, and the third. She automatically did the same thing. She called the police for a wellness check. As soon as the police got there, he took his life, gunshot wound to the head.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so I take this stuff very seriously when I saw that. So I don't want to hear was this him just trying to blame mental health, because I do take mental health seriously. So now if he is doing that, thinking this is the easy way out, shame on him. But I'm not going to do that to him. I'm gonna say the young man needs help. because I don't like cryptic messages like that. It's just scary, and it also goes to show you can have all the money in the world, all these accolades, all this fame, fortune, and material things, and still be hurting inside. So you gotta remember, I turned 47 last week, so I'm probably his dad's age, and he's like a kid. I don't know him, but he's a kid to me, and it's like, so everybody coming, because I see how my children react, my smaller ones react when I try to discipline them or come at them and say they feel bad. So can you imagine the whole world coming at you, and he lives his life. These kids, they live their life on social media.
Right.
This is their life. So social media is their. We can laugh at it all we want, but this is their heartbeat.
Yeah.
So now I'm not laughing because I think it's funny, but I'm just like, man. So John, pray for you, brother. Get some help. If you need the help, get some help. Sit out the games. Some things is way more important than basketball.
I think admitting you need help is the most
that's hard.
important thing to do. And
Hard.
if he really needs help, he has to admit it and really get help, because it looks like these things going on is a cry for help. And if no one is going to help him, in his immediate circle, immediate family, he's gonna have to get outside help from somebody. And those messages, hopefully, he does come out and explain it and talk about it, because that was really a nerve-wracking situation, because people don't know what's going on in your life. People see you, like you said, on social media, and those cryptic messages, people know what they mean on social media. So I would hope that he does explain what that means, because a lot of people are bashing him for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and you see in sports, that's like the big thing now, taking a mental health break, and Naomi Osaka and others, and I think Michael Phelps came out, saying he battled depression, and
Simone Biles.
and Simone Biles, and she went through a whole lot.
Yeah.
So I understand
And
what she
another,
was going through.
yeah, another thing is what upset me a little bit was, because we're talking about mental health, the Simone Biles thing is people coming out saying, well, if she was a man, we wouldn't care. That doesn't matter, man. She said she's going through something, and she said when she was doing her routine and she was in the air, she felt something. And you gotta remember, she's a gymnast. She's flipping around. She could land on her neck the wrong way, and boom, So let we can still have a little bit of compassion. You know what I mean? So if they say something with it, like Naomi Osaka, she's pregnant now. She's about to, congratulations to her. She's about to have a child. You know what? That child is more important than tennis right now. You dig?
Right.
So come on, y'all. Mental health is real.
Yeah, it is. Now, I move on to another. Wow. Well, speaking of John Morant, he did come out with it. Nike came out with his new sneakers, and they sold out in minutes. So, I mean, hopefully that helps. Another I had another topic here. Yeah, on the NFL front, you have Devontae Adams and the Raiders and the Chiefs were facing a lawsuit. If you remember, Devontae Adams, shoved I think he was a cameraman, right? And nothing happened. He was charged with a misdemeanor assault, and he apologized. The guy, his last name is Zelby, alleges that the lawsuit that he feared for his life in the immediate aftermath of the incident and was diagnosed with concussion symptoms. He also, that he was targeted online. He filed the complaint this month in the Jackson County Circuit Court, according to HUDNO lawsuit alleges battery by Adams, liable by the Raiders and his employer, and negligence on the part of the Chiefs, Jackson County Sports Complex Authority, and Landmark Event staffing. Quote, they all had some degree of responsibility providing security services during game day to keep performances and interactions like this from occurring. We are in the beginning stages of this, but Zelby's looking for compensation for what happened to him, and if a jury has to decide, then that's who'll decide.
Right?
I don't like that. I don't like that at all.
What did you like about it?
He said he feared for his life.
Oh, that part. Oh, I don't like that part either.
Come on.
I don't like that part either. But they're gonna settle out of court. It's gonna be settled.
Yeah,
It's not
they
gonna
better
work.
because, you know, there's also issues of Devontae Adams if he wants to stay in Las Vegas. You know, I just read right now that Garoppolo just had a surgery on his foot.
Oh yeah, because he broke his foot. Yeah.
Surgery back in March.
Okay, that's early enough.
And you know, I guess Devontae has been chirping about, you know, Garoppolo's not the guy because he doesn't throw the ball down the field. You know, now you got this issue where he's being sued, and I mean, you know, sometimes in life when it comes, you know, one after another, you're just like, man, let me just get out of here, let me get out of this situation. So, hopefully he doesn't demand a trade, but you know, from the looks of it, if he does, I wouldn't be.
He only been there for a year, right?
Yeah.
How many years is on his contract?
I think he's doing the rest of his contract that he had got with the. Remember he renewed he re-upped his contract with the Green Bay. They gave him a whole bunch of money, but he didn't like it when he got to the Raiders with his best friend Derek Carr because of they weren't giving him the ball, and he still had like, you know, some of the best stats in the league. The problem is they weren't winning.
I always when they did this deal with the Raiders, I was wondering why he wanted to leave Green Bay anyway. You know, you had Aaron Rodgers right there, but to tell you the truth, he wouldn't be happy now because Aaron Rodgers left, so he would be stuck in Green Bay with Jordan Love. So, you know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I mean, they say grass is not always green on the other side,
man.
So.
You got a higher water bill on the other side sometimes.
Exactly. Speaking of Vegas, Major League Baseball is going to vote on the Oakland A's moving to Las Vegas. They did have a set place for the new stadium, which is on the Strip where the old Tropicana Resort Casino, you know, is and was.
On the Strip.
And yeah, it's gonna be nice. I think it's gonna be like a 17,000 to 20,000 seat venue.
Is it gonna be a casino attached to it?
Maybe. You know what I mean? I'm not sure, but I would say most likely there's a mini casino in the Raider Stadium.
Yeah.
You know, it's in Vegas, so you know they can have that. But I think they're gonna approve the move because there's nowhere else for them to go, you know, and also they don't want to be in Oakland, and Oakland doesn't want them to be there. It sucks for the fans.
Yeah.
You know, it really sucks for the fans, but you know, we'll see. You know, end up calling them the Las Vegas Athletics soon. And in bigger news.
Before you keep going, do you realize that Las Vegas' sports scene at one time was just about the University of Nevada, Las Vegas Running Rebels, the men's team.
Now they have three.
They have four.
Well, WNBA
team. They just won a championship. I know a lot of people don't watch it or whatever, but they did win a championship. They got the hockey team that may mess around and win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
They got football, and they're about to have baseball. I mean, within what about 5 years I think or so.
Right.
Man.
Very, very quick.
Quick.
Vegas is a huge sports hub now.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
And
gambling,
sports betting is legal now.
Sports betting's legal. Sports betting's huge. I think the only thing left is the NBA to be in Vegas, and that's been
inevitable.
talked about.
Inevitable. It'll happen eventually.
Speaking of Vegas, the Las Vegas Knights, they're 2-2 tied up with Dallas.
Mm.
They're 3-0 in the Western Conference Finals. If they win, they sweep Dallas and go on to the Stanley Cup Finals, where they're going to face, I think it's the Florida Panthers.
Oh, the Panthers already
And
closed out?
yeah, the Panthers swept Carolina. You know, so if Miami wins,
hockey doesn't get enough credit. It's a lot of parity in hockey. They don't get enough credit.
Yeah. If Miami wins, there'll be 2 Florida teams in the respective championship series.
Yeah, I don't believe that has happened since the Knicks and the Rangers back in 95.
I remember that.
94, yeah, 94. The Rangers won.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the Knicks did. You know.
Yeah.
But
I wanted y'all to. No, I really did. I wanted y'all
right.
to.
In bigger news, we have to say our condolences to the great Jim Brown.
Woo. Jim Brown.
He passed away this past week. He was 83.
Yeah, 83. Mm-hmm.
And I mean, there's nothing more you can say about him. You know, his activist in the civil rights movement. You know, him playing, was it 9 seasons?
9 seasons for the Cleveland Browns.
And he had most of the records as a running back all the way until Emmitt Smith broke.
No, was it Walter Payton first?
Yeah, Walter Payton.
Then
Emmitt Smith,
yeah.
right. So, I mean, that was over 20 some odd years until
Mm-hmm.
Walter Payton broke his records.
Jim Brown never ran out of bounds.
Right. And
The guy was what, like, he was like 6'2", 240.
right.
Ran like a 4'4".
I can never forget the ESPN, you know, the old ESPN classic videos when I was young.
Yeah.
You know, you stay home from school or have that extra day, you know, on a holiday and watch that, and I watch those old videos, and it's like, wow, it's unbelievable, you know, man, that you know,
I remember-
they call him the great, not Jim Brown, the great Jim Brown.
I remember playing Madden, and you just could pick those old time teams.
Mm.
I remember picking Jim Brown,
Oh my God.
and they couldn't tackle him.
No.
And they said that, and people that played with him and that played against him and with him and everything, they said that was realistic. I mean,
Mhm.
the man was a monster. And I mean everything I'm saying is being affectionate. And I'm not trying to disrespect the man. God rest his dead. He was a monster. He was a beast. And he stopped playing in 9 years and went to doing movies.
Right. You remember the movies he was in?
Yeah.
You know, one I remember in the '80s, I'm Gonna Get You
Get you
Sucker.
sucker, yeah. I'm gonna get you sucker.
That was very, very funny. If anybody
Yeah.
remembers that movie.
He was in Attack on Mars.
Right.
He was I think he.
A lot of old blaxploitation movies in the '70s.
Yeah, I believe it was The Dirty Dozen he was in. I believe it was that movie. A film you should check out is One Night in Miami, where they fictionalized the meeting between him, Jim Brown, Muhammad Ali, Sam Cooke, and Malcolm X.
Yeah.
Real good film. I just have one criticism about it. I'm not going to get into it here about that film, but still it was a good film. It was directed by Virginia King. So check that film out, y'all.
Okay. All right. No doubt. Like I said, rest in peace to the great Jim Brown.
Rest in peace, Tina Turner.
Obviously, I was going to say that as well. Tina Turner passed away I think she was also 83.
83, 84, something. She was around there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Two icons in the black community that we
Icon.
lost. They call her the queen of rock and roll. I just
Yes, they
seen
do.
videos of her and saying that Mick Jagger has said that she is the one who taught him his moves. You know,
I can believe that.
remember that song "Make Moves Like Jagger"? Jagger had the moves from Tina Turner.
Mhm.
You know, so She won like 6 Grammys with the Ike and Tina Turner review.
Mhm.
And
She
all
won some
those-
Grammys on her own too.
all those great songs she had in the 80s. And people remember.
Mad Max
Yeah, I was gonna
Thunderdome.
say, Mad Max Thunderdome. She has some top, songs from that movie. If you remember, those 80 movie songs were the soundtrack of the 80s.
Oh yeah.
And Tina Turner was obviously one of them. So rest in peace to the great Tina Turner and the great Jim Brown. So,
Yes, sir.
and with that being said, we're gonna come back with more Keep On Moving Show.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was crazy, man. Just Jim Brown, such a great activist. He was part. Oh, I didn't say this in that segment, but he was the Ali Summit. He was on that. And I know I don't agree with Whitlock a lot, but Whitlock did say like he was one of those guys who never sold out. Like he said later on, like he had his criticisms of Bill Russell, which I had my criticism of Bill Russell as well, where he was pretty much ditched his black wife, married 3 white women after that. He's just like, and you big time black power, and I don't have a problem with interracial dating, but sometimes that looks sketchy to me. Muhammad Ali kind of they didn't start loving him until he was going through Parkinson's and couldn't talk anymore. Really, but Jim Brown was like the last of the movie. I mean, that dude was incredible. Man, he was one of those guys he was so reputable.
Yeah.
Like he could like when Jamie Foxx and LL was going through they crack.
Yeah.
You about to go on?
Yeah.
Oh, go.
Okay, we're back. Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean Pate.
And we're just getting into some Jim Brown stories. One thing I wanted to bring up is what do you think about in the off season of the NBA? You have all of these hypotheticals, and I don't like them. I mean, Colin Cowherd and Nick Wright and all those guys, and everyone always puts up all these hypotheticals, and they run rampant online. I'm just seeing one right now where someone said NBA insider floats a trade idea that would send Joel Embiid to Miami Heat for Bam Adebayo, Tyler Hero, and other pieces. Like, what is that? Why would you even say that when this man just won the MVP? Why would, no matter what the 76ers did, why would they trade him for one?
Whoever would do that trade would deserve to be. Now I'm from Philly, so only Philly people is gonna get this, but would deserve if Daryl Morey did that deal, he would deserve.
Check the line. But keep going.
If Daryl Morey did that deal, he would deserve to be dragged out on Board Street and flogged, and then strapped him to the horses and dragged up and down Board Street from Patterson Avenue all the way to Cheltenham Avenue and back. And believe me, that's a long way. So the Sixers wouldn't be getting anything back. They would be getting back. Bam Adebayo, he's good, but he's no Joel Embiid. You'll be doing Miami a favor. Oh man, what other silliness was they talking about?
Well, everyone's talking about how I think it was Colin Cowherd who said, I think it was the Jaylen Brown trade to the Warriors for Jordan Poole and a couple other players, and everyone on his show has shot it down like, nah, I wouldn't do that for whatever. And it's like, well, you're shipping players off who's already under contract. I can see if you talk about players that are free agents and unrestricted free agents and they're currently not on a team, I mean, you do have the Kyrie Irving talk to the Lakers. You know, that's big to the point where Kyrie Irving got on Twitter, got on Instagram Live and shot down everything. Was like, all that rumors is not true. You know, I'm happy. I'm not talking about basketball right now. I'm trying to watch the finals, like, you know, watch the championships like you should. And he's saying, you know, if when he knows something, he let everybody know. But he's saying he's a free agent and he's, you know, he's enjoying life. But, you know, he was talking crap. He was trying to talk crap about the fans because, you know, everyone's talking about it. But you have these quote unquote, I wouldn't even say they're reputable sites, sports sites. They're just, you know, Twitter pages that's gotten big and websites that, you know, have a few sponsors that'll just float something out there, and then it gets to national media because they don't have that much, you know, content, so they'll pick and choose something. The producer pick and choose something from the internet to talk about, and, you know, the host will try to, you know, put his spin on it, and next thing you know, it turns into a this kind of snowball effect where now we didn't traded away 3 players, you know what I mean, in the NBA already, and it goes back to GMs and everything. Like, what is that about? So it's kind of strange. I don't like it.
Yeah, it is strange. I mean, some of the stuff he's putting out there. Why would Jordan Poole didn't have a good postseason, and it matters. You don't realize that the way you play makes your stock go down. I mean, look at Ben Simmons and what he did to the Sixers. Like, if they would have hopped on the trade thing with him early, they would have got way more. But because everything was down on them, they got what they got. So, which I didn't even like the trade, but that's another issue. But so yeah, Jaylen Brown for Poole. Jaylen Brown's a better player. I would stick with Jaylen Brown.
Right, and yeah, it's and the thing is, when it comes to the Celtics, that is a real topic because the Celtics have 2 supermax players, and you know, Jaylen Brown and
Tatum
and Jermaine and Tatum, Jalen Tatum. Yeah, right. If they get both of them, that's like 60 something, you know, $600 some odd million, $660 million, you know, over
money.
so many years, right? Over like 5 to 6. Yeah, that is a lot of money. The thing is, with Jaylen Brown, there's a real issue because they was trying to trade him for the past 2-3 years, right? You know, there's always issues and this, and that, and rumbles of oh, they're not getting along and this, and that, the locker room stuff. But with all this going on, I don't think win or lose, Jaylen Brown stays. Now, who he gets traded to, you know, a sign-in trade or whatever, you know, that's neither here nor there right now, but I really think he's gone. Most likely, if they trade him, he goes to the Western Conference. They're not going to trade him in the East. So, yeah. I understand people talk about Golden State because how they lost, they need something, you know, more firepower, more veteran leadership there with possibly Draymond Green not being there.
Now, if somebody was to say Jaylen Brown and Marcus Smart for Dame Lillard,
hey,
I could possibly see that. You'd be like, okay, I can see that happening. You know, I mean, being a Sixer fan, I wouldn't want to because you bring Dame Lillard to the East.
Right.
But I can see that actually makes way more sense.
I really think no matter what, Dame Lillard's going to the East.
Oh yeah, if it's they're just looking for the right deal. That's all.
Right, and if you really look at the top free agents right now, is Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Fred VanVleet, Jordan Clarkson, Porzingis, Russell.
I didn't even realize Porzingis was still playing.
He's on the Wizards
Yeah,
with
he's on the
Kuzma.
Wizards.
Kuzma and Porzingis is free agents.
Mm-hmm.
So
Kuzma, he's a shooting guard, right?
yeah. No, I think he's a forward actually.
Oh, a small forward? Okay.
Right. And remember, he used to be on the Lakers.
Yeah, he got a ring with them.
Right. And I want to see what happens to them first.
Oh, yeah.
Those players first, mainly Kyrie and James Harden. We already know there's rumors of James Harden going back to Houston.
Mhm.
Like I said, Kyrie Irving, he dismissed all the rumors, saying that if it's not from him or his team, then it's not it's not a reputable source.
Well, that's what he's supposed to say.
Right. Fred VanVleet, he's a family man, so I don't think he's not the type to be out there unless you're a super fan like that and you have his social media, so that's not gonna. But he's one of those top free agents. But the players that are already under contract right now, I don't see that being any good content to talk about these trades like that, because it doesn't make no sense at this point, because we've seen this years and years where you see all these wannabe trades and this and that's going to happen, and it's going to be a flurry in the offseason, and then nothing happens.
Yeah, nothing happens.
I mean, I would say one thing that's speculatory that I would like to see right here in Phoenix Suns, are they going to get rid of DeAndre Ayton?
What they gonna get for him though?
You had the chance. You already had the chance last season with Indiana. They could have made a deal. They could have made a deal instead of just.
What was that deal looking like?
Well, it wasn't really a trade, but remember, Indiana grabbed him from free agency.
Oh,
he was
right.
a restricted free agent,
That's
and
right.
they.
And Phoenix just offered them more.
Right, they matched it. They actually matched the offer to keep him. Now, that was a mistake after you see what happened now, hindsight being 2020, but I think the Suns could have made a deal getting, Buddy Hield or I'm not sure you get Halliburton for DeAndre Ayton. I don't think
They got
He's
Miles.
a better player.
They got Miles Turner out there, right?
Right, Miles Turner, Halliburton, and Buddy Hield.
They could have got Miles Turner maybe.
And Miles Turner, he talked about on social media, he wanted out. He wants out of Indiana.
Miles
So
Turner,
he wants to be traded.
Is he a small forward, power forward?
I'm not. I think so. He's
Yeah,
a great player too.
Yeah,
Buddy Hield, a great 3-point shooter.
yeah. Good scorer, great scorer. Puts the ball in the basket.
Right. Right. So with that being said, we're gonna go to the second hour. Matter of fact, before we go to the second hour, we're gonna talk about these coaches. Now, Nick Nurse, he's a finalist for the 76ers and the Suns job. And there's a few other assistant coaches that are right there as finalists. I don't see Monty Williams anywhere as a finalist, because now these teams are in second interviews. I haven't seen Monty Williams. I haven't seen Boonholz's name.
Monty didn't go in for that Sixer interview?
I don't think so.
Interesting.
Right. So I think by next week, we'll probably find out about at least the 76ers. Who are they going to get as the new head coach? So, yeah, it's very interesting, and I think we're going to see possibly a coach that hasn't had head coaching experience, and I think the Suns may do that. They may hire a brand new coach. Right, I think so. I don't know why. It wouldn't be smart.
Yeah, they got some personalities on that team. You got KD, Devin Booker, Chris Paul. You might want to go experience with this one. They might go. They might go Bud. They might go Coach Bud. They might go there.
Yeah.
Because Coach Bud was. I mean, he just had some adjustment issues, but he's not a bad coach. I wouldn't be mad as a Sixers fan. I wouldn't be mad about Nurse, but it comes down to his decision who he wants to go to. So at that point,
I think Nick Nurse has the pick of the litter right now.
yeah, pretty much. I didn't think he could get fired out of Toronto, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
That was weird to me. But okay.
Right. So, like I said, for those teams, I think Nurse goes to the 76ers.
Mhm.
I think the Suns get a young coach. The Bucks, possibly Kenny Atkinson over there.
Mhm.
The thing is, they got some roster moves. What are they going to do? What was the other teams? I think there's a few other teams that need coaches. Did Toronto need a coach, or who else?
I wouldn't mind seeing
It was the Suns, 76ers, the Bucks.
I
What was
wouldn't
the other
mind.
team?
I wouldn't mind Monty seeing Monty with the Bucks. I think Monty can do something with them.
Right. But yeah, we'll definitely. I think by next week, before next week, we will find out who's going to be coach. 76ers or the Suns. So, that being said, we'll come back in the second hour. Please keep it locked right here. Thanks everybody for watching and listening on the Keep 1 Million Show.
Stay tuned, y'all.
Oh yeah, you hear about Shannon Brown and Kwame Brown, Shannon Sharp and Kwame Brown talking
I
about
don't
each
get it
other?
because LeBron was in a no-win situation. So no, what's his end game here?
Yeah, I saw.
We'll talk about this in the next hour.
You're the number one overall pick. Yeah. I don't get it because LeBron was in a no-win situation. People say, LeBron, why would you settle for a three? Why would you shoot a step back this? He drives the ball. Jamal Murray does a great job of tying him up. And even as he holds onto the ball, he's trying to get the shot up. Eric Boyd blocked. Now you're saying, well, you should have pulled up. It's easy to say what you should have done after the fact of knowing what happened. And this kid, he said, you're supposed to be great? Really? Of all the people, he should never ever question anybody's greatness.
We can talk about this because I don't think they had to talk about this.
Exactly. That's what I don't like about sports media that's going on. You're talking about a YouTube content creator. Kwame Brown is not on ESPN. He's not on another show on whatever. The dude is on fucking his own YouTube.
So in other words, what Shannon is saying is that Kwame's not allowed to talk about basketball. That's what I got from here. Because Skip Bayless says the same thing.
Right. We know motherfuckers go down and Skip Bayless' ass. Man, he is a content creator, yo. He talks sports. Like what? That's what I'm saying. You're right. He can't talk sports. But you don't talk nothing about the Pivot podcast. You don't talk nothing about these other sports podcasts.
Yeah.
Oh, it came down here. Huh? Oh, hey. So the second hour, the first thing we talk about is the game.
What game?
5.
Oh, game 5. Oh, Miami, Boston.
To KRDB Jazz and Indie, where the Valley comes to talk, sing, connect. KRDP, Apache
Kaji
Junction,
came down. He said he
Goldfield,
wasn't coming.
Ghost
I seen
Town,
him.
Phoenix, 90.7 FM in the East Valley, and online at Listen, the number
Dude.
2, KRDP.com, a service of
They
Desert
talked
Soul
about this
Media.
for
Views and
4
opinions
minutes.
expressed in this
4
program
minutes.
are
That's
those
just
of the
him.
speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views
When I was
or
at work
positions
listening to it in my
of Desert
headphones,
Soul Media.
I didn't even.
and its
I heard
board of
about this
directors.
through another
Thank you for listening.
show.
I got it in my feed.
This week on the Keep 1 Million show, for the first time in
Like,
franchise history, the
I was
Denver
thinking to myself,
Nuggets
like, why?
go on
What the hell are
to
you
the
talking
NBA
about?
Finals at the same time as Carmelo Anthony announces his retirement.
Oh, we got to talk
We're
about
going to
that.
talk about that, as
Oh,
well
what?
as
Carmelo.
what is next
Yeah, yeah,
for the
yeah.
Los
I'm not on
Angeles
boxing.
Lakers.
We didn't talk about that.
Radio Phoenix
Right.
is financially supported by Westside Jazz
Oh, yeah,
and
we'll
Blues,
do all that in a
Northeast
second.
corner, 59th
What happened?
Avenue in Bell, Glendale, Arizona. Performers
I don't know why it
include
does that.
Peterson, Beth
It
Lederman,
should've already
Fisher
went
Ricci,
to-
and
It should have been here
Blues.
before.
WestsideBlues.com. Also on Facebook.
why.
Hashtag Westside
Should've
Jazz
announced
and
it, stay up
Blues.
here.
Broadcasting from the Phoenix Center for the Arts,
Well,
you're
this one
tuned
played
to
the damn billboard
KRDP
twice.
Jazz and Indie,
I don't know
where the
why.
valley comes to talk, sing, connect. KRDP, Apache Junction, Goldfield, Ghost Town, Phoenix, 90.7 FM in the East Valley, and online at Listen, the number 2,
Right.
KRDP.com, a service of Desert Soul Media.
Views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of Desert Soul Media and its board of directors. Thank you for listening.
This week
Did you guys just
on
play
the
a
Keep
legal
1 Million
ID?
show, for the
what?
first time
Yeah.
in franchise
Okay.
history, the Denver Nuggets
Oh no, you're fine. It's just
go
Oh,
on
yeah.
to the NBA Finals at
seems
the same
like
time
it's
as
delayed
Carmelo
or
Anthony
something.
Oh, it's
announces
probably
his
just-
retirement. We're going to talk
guys
about
might
that,
wanna
as well as what is next
least be
for
able
the
to
Los
look at
Angeles Lakers.
Oh,
We're also
okay.
going to get into the Celtics stave off elimination in Miami,
like hot
and now
out
go
in
back
here?
to Boston
No,
for Game
it,
5.
this been on the whole
Can
time. So.
Jimmy
Oh,
Butler,
okay.
Miami,
Yeah, I guess that's
close
for
it
this.
out
I didn't
in
know
Boston.
why it was on.
We're going to get into
Oh,
that.
it's not for
as
this.
well
It's not
as
for the.
for you.
the Lomachenko.
Oh, okay. Oh, that's for that. Right. That one. Okay.
Some controversy there. We're going to talk about that and who is the real
I thought that was
pound
for
for
that.
pound.
Yeah, me too.
I thought both
last week I didn't touch it because I thought it was.
I thought both of them was for that.
Of the sports world. So keep it locked right here on the Keep 1 Million show.
This is funny. Because I'm reading the comments after that, then someone put that, bro, it's Jordan. Like it's pointing at Shannon like, bro. That's funny.
He's wearing that same.
No, you know the picture, you know, that's kind of like what they're trying to say. Like yo,
Like,
homie, yo, check out what Shannon doing,
oh,
right?
oh,
You know
check
I
out
mean?
what Shane doing.
Right, what Shannon's saying, right. Oh, that's perfect. This might replace the crying meme. Oh, his face. Mm. Oh, shit. Yeah, that's crazy. And it's all because he criticized. Oh shit! Here's the. Okay, here's the response.
And now, since you don't want you a guest in the house of this basketball talk, did you know that? And now, since you don't want to act like a guest in this shit, and you want to invalidate me, you football playing dummy. Nigga, there ain't no first downs in basketball, clown. How you gonna try to invalidate a man who was the #1 draft pick, boy? You wanna try to put some bass in your voice when you're talking to me? When you on a panel with a nigga that buckled you down, boy? You on a panel with a white boy that blamed his coach for not making it to college, and you wanna try to invalidate me, nigga?
I knew this was coming.
Clown or what? I'm so glad that you just exposed yourself, you clown. You think you gonna put some bass in your voice when you talking to me, nigga? And that white boy made you say, I'm just trying to let me feel it. Let me feel it.
I knew this was coming, man. This is what I didn't want to happen. I didn't want this to happen, man.
You a thick
That's a Tesla.
Did you not know that?
He said a Tesla.
There ain't no
Yeah,
first
we
down
drunk
in
it.
basketball, boy. So I don't know what makes you think that your opinion on basketball is more
Yeah, I
than mine
see it.
because you a fan boy for LeBron. You call me emotional, and you was gonna fight a whole goddamn Memphis Grizzlies team because of your love affair of LeBron. You the reason why now you for a long time. Yes, we've been waiting for a long, long time.
Yo, he's killing them on that one.
Killing them, man. Woo. I don't see him telling no lies.
I'm about to come with that first.
Okay.
Hey, we're back to Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean B.
It is May 25th, 2023, and there is this online beef between Kwame Brown and Shannon Sharp, and man, I mean, I wasn't going to talk about it in this first segment. I wanted to bring it up in another segment.
Now let's talk about it.
Okay, so the Lakers get swept. The Lakers get swept by the Denver Nuggets, and Kwame Brown is right now a content creator. You know, he has a YouTube channel.
Yes.
We know he blew up a couple years ago with the Shannon Sharp. With the Stephen A. Smith situation.
Matt Barnes, Steven
Matt
Jackson.
Barnes, right, the whole bus situation, and even Jalen Rose came to his defense,
Yeah, he did.
Kwame Brown's defense.
He ain't got no issue. Kwame ain't got no issues with Jalen.
Right. So he's been doing his thing on YouTube and getting, you know, he's got millions of subscribers now.
Yeah.
He's
Doing his thing.
people are watching him. He basically has his own deal, his own show.
Yeah, I think it's all
Whatnot.
independent.
Right. I mean, it's most YouTube creators are.
Yeah.
But I talked about this last hour when talking about how the sports media is using content creators for content, right?
Yeah.
And using it for ratings. So while Kwame Brown is talking about LeBron James and criticizing his actions about that last game, and rightfully so, he's an ex-basketball player. He sees on what's going on the floor and whatnot, and you know he possibly knows. He may know Darvin Ham personally. He may know these. You know what I mean? He's in.
He probably does know Darvin Ham personally because they played in the same era.
Right. He's in the know. You know, one of those quote unquote basketball experts, analysts. I mean, to be honest with you, I'm surprised that no one even since he got big. I'm surprised no one brought him on one of these shows to kind of capitalize on, you know, that whole thing.
He has been brought in on a few people's podcasts, like this one podcast called Uncensored Hip Hop. You know, like grassroots podcasts, dudes that do it themselves pretty much.
Right.
And he's been on some of those. And the biggest one I've seen him on so far, somebody correct me if I'm wrong, is Pivot. He was on the Pivot.
Okay, right, the Pivot podcast.
Yeah, that was a good interview they did with him too.
Right. So he's coming up in that world. But Shannon Sharp is an established sports analyst on a top debate sports show.
Hall of Fame tight end.
The Undisputed, him and Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless.
Yep.
Now, they made a whole segment around Kwame Brown.
Yeah. Why?
A whole segment. I mean, the Shannon Sharp rant by itself is 4 minutes. So you know how long Skip Bayless was. It had been 5 minutes because he always had to out-talk Shannon Sharp.
Matter of fact, I was listening to it earlier, and I listened to Shannon the whole thing. I didn't even listen to Skip. I just cut it off. There was no point. Waste of time.
The thing is, he's trying to tell him why is he talking because he's a bust and this and that. Like, whoa, wait a minute. Why would you say that about someone who's just criticizing a player about what happened in a game? You get swept. You know, there's going to be analysts. There probably was analysts that criticized LeBron worse than Kwame Brown did.
Yeah, it wasn't that. I actually saw it. It wasn't that bad.
Right.
But Kwame did.
So, but when Kwame clapped back at Shannon Sharp, wow, that was epic.
That was like
he cut in.
Shannon was like Jay-Z Takeover, and Kwame was like Nas Ether, man.
Right.
He ethered him,
deep.
man.
But then he says something really real and called him a fanboy, a LeBron fanboy, and how he was out there trying to fight, you know, John Morant's dad
team.
and the whole Memphis Grizzly team in that Memphis Grizzly game. And it's like, well, wow, you know, you're doing too much, and he kind, you know, Shannon is doing too much when it comes to those things because you're an employee of Fox.
Yeah.
Kwame Brown is not an employee of any of that. So, I mean, what did you think about this whole situation?
Thought it was silly. I was trying to figure out why I was listening to it is why did these two men, being Shannon Sharp and Skip Bayless, want to devote a segment to what Kwame said on the YouTube page? Why? Well, he didn't even say anything bad. I mean, what was the point? What was the point? And you got to know that Kwame, it's not about being emotional. Kwame claps back. I mean, he claps back, and I got to give it to him. When he claps back,
exactly.
It's like he calls it mama's cooking. I mean, when he claps back, he really roasts, man. He goes in. Now, when he did it at first with, because he was going back and forth with Gilbert Arenas too, but when he was doing with Steven Jackson and Matt Barnes, and Stephen A. Smith and even Dr. Boyce Watkins, I was like, I thought all that was unnecessary. I was like, hey, let's calm all this down. Even the podcast I just mentioned.
I think with Dr. Boyce Watkins, they did squash it.
They squashed. No, I believe they did because I believe that Kwame came to the senses that Boyce wasn't trying to be his enemy. He was actually trying to help him. But Kwame was so wrapped up in just going at everybody that anybody who said his name, it was like boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
I mean, like it happened to the Uncensored dudes because they didn't say anything bad about him either, and they definitely squashed it and everything. So sometimes I will say this, that Kwame does get caught up. Like when he's going in on people, it's like everybody in the vicinity. You know, you've been in school where you're not even doing nothing, and somebody sees you and they think you giggle, they think you did anything. It's like boom, they on you too. It's like no, don't, and they start firing at everybody. You know, so that's the type of dude that he is. And to get back to it, they shouldn't even have talked about this. It's ridiculous. It was ridiculous to talk about. They had better things to talk about, but they wanted to talk about a YouTuber. Come on, man. And guess what? They did it. People don't realize you do the YouTuber a favor. Because guess what people do? They go to the YouTuber's page and see the response.
Yes,
so
it's true.
You get the
and
clicks.
That's what happened with Stephen A. Smith when that first happened.
Yes.
You know, Kwame Brown's minding his own business, and they start talking about Bus, and he goes in on Kwame. Kwame comes back, and it goes viral 10 times over. And once again, it's going to happen again because Shannon Sharp goes in for 4 minutes. And that was for ratings.
Yeah.
That was for ratings mainly because your team, Shannon Sharp's Lakers, gets swept, and he's not going to criticize LeBron. He's not going to criticize the Lakers. He probably did a little bit, but then you look silly going after, you know, someone who's supposed to be quote unquote beneath you as far as sports media is concerned. You know, when this whole narrative is, oh, the new media, the new sports media, and they try to, you know, take shots at, you know, the YouTubers that's really making noise because they're uncensored, they're unfiltered, and they're very unbiased and objective. Versus now you have ESPN and Fox, and people aren't watching no more because they're not objective. They're not unbiased. They have their teams, and they yell about their teams, and you have a 10-minute segment about the Dallas Cowboys and in the summer. You know what I mean? We're talking about LeBron James versus Michael Jordan when you have Nikola Jokic versus, you know, Joel Embiid and what's going on now. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Why am I watching that when I could be watching someone who's really talking about something that I'm interested in? You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I stopped watching Undisputed. I stopped watching ESPN. I stopped watching all that stuff because you can tell they're so biased, especially ESPN, I mean, I'm from the East Coast, but they're so East Coast biased. It's like no one's talking about that right now. When, well, something I wanted to bring up. Speaking of, hold on, something I wanted to bring up was the fact that with all that talk about LeBron James' retirement, talking about the Lakers getting swept, the Shannon and Kwame Brown situation, no one's talking about how great the Denver Nuggets are.
Nope.
No one's talking about how Nikola Jokic is on a historic run that we have never seen in basketball.
Nope.
Never. His stats are only comparable to one person, that's Wilt Chamberlain. If anybody understands how the magnitude of that is, please go look up Wilt Chamberlain's stats. Please look up Oscar Robertson's stats.
Yeah.
Please look up Magic Johnson's stats. Please look up these all-time great player stats. And in real time, in real life, right now, 2023, we are watching this man do, I wouldn't say the impossible, but he's doing something we haven't seen. LeBron James has never done these things that Nikola Jokic is doing. You know, Russell Westbrook has gotten close, but not in the playoffs. He's done it in the regular season, but not in the playoffs.
No, not for a ring. I mean, this Jokic is about to win a ring. Because anybody that Denver plays, they're going to beat. I believe they can beat the Heat or Boston. So it'll be. I believe it's going to be tougher to beat Boston than it is to beat the Heat. But I believe they can sweep the Heat. But I believe Boston can go 6 or 7. And it's a shame because what you get, sitting here talking about Shannon and Kwame. And I just brought it up last segment. We're not talking about the parody. I know nobody likes to watch it, but the parody in hockey. You know, you're sitting there like, dang, you know. So I always used to like to say this. It must be a slow news day, bro. It must be a slow news day.
Speaking of hockey, Dallas just beat Vegas. Now it's 3-1.
Oh,
so,
okay, yeah, they're not gonna get swept.
They stave off elimination as well.
Staved off. Was that overtime?
Yes, in overtime.
Overtime.
And the Celtics beat the Heat 110-97. So it's 3-2 going back to Miami.
Yeah.
Can the Celtics do it? Can they do the unthinkable? Can they do the unfathomable?
If
come back from 3-0.
If they win in Miami, they will win the series. They will win the series.
They're basically kind of snatching momentum.
If they win in Miami, they will win the series.
Yeah, this is now a must-win for Miami.
They have to win
for Miami because they most likely won't win Game 7, and hopefully that's being talked about. Not LeBron James or Bronny James or the Lakers or anybody else that's not in this situation, because that will be something unbelievable coming back from 2-0. There's 151 times, and the Lakers is the last one to lose being down 3-0. If the Celtics is the first team ever to do that, that surpasses LeBron James finals going down 3-1 to Golden State. Now that was in the finals though, so he does have that, and that's when I just had to bow down and respect LeBron and say, hey, you're the quote unquote GOAT of this generation. But you had to give him his respect there. So Game 6 is going to be, if I'm not mistaken, Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. Yeah, Saturday.
And that gives more time. You know, now June 1st is the Game 1 in the finals. So you have, 9 days, from the time of the sweep of the Nuggets swept the Lakers to Game 1. When we come back, I want to ask, is it going to be good or bad for the Nuggets to have this whole time off? What they say, rest versus rust. We're going to come back and talk about that and more when we come back. This is the Keep 1 Million Show.
With hunger.
Childhood hunger is a heartbreaking reality that Feeding America is working to change. Each year, the Feeding America network of food banks rescues billions of pounds of good food that would have gone to waste and provides it to families and children in need.
You can help kids in need in your community by visiting feedingamerica.org.
Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
We're back to Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
And we're getting into the NBA Finals here. Like I said, Celtics just beat the Heat to go to Game 6. And we both are talking about if the Celtics win again, they're most likely going to win Game 7. Now, when you have a team who's hot, so that means the Celtics would be winner of 4 straight, right? But it's a little bit sooner than Denver's 4 straight wins. Denver has been off, let's say January 1st, they've been off for 9 days. And you have the Celtics being off for possibly 4-5 days. Is that an advantage for Denver or the Celtics? Assuming the Celtics win Game 7. Game 7 would be probably Monday.
Yeah, Monday.
Monday being
Memorial Day.
Right.
It'll be that day, yeah.
The 29th. So there would only be 2 days, from playing, right? Other than we'll have 2 days off versus Denver's 9 days. Who does that the advantage for right there? Saying the Celtics, then we're gonna go Miami.
It'll be advantage for Denver, the more rested team. I'm always going with the more rested team. They're still going to be practicing. I mean, granted, it's not like playing the game, but they're just going to be rested. It's good to have your joints rest, get your massages, your spa treatments, loosen up your body. So I'm gonna go with Denver being rested.
I really kind of think that advantage would be the Celtics because if they get on this hot streak, they can keep it going as playing.
I can see that.
Versus, now mind you, Denver is right now the toughest place to play. If I'm not mistaken, they're undefeated at home.
Mm-hmm.
So they have the best home arena right now, and one of the top home arenas in the league in this season. Now going with Miami, going back and forth. They're back and forth with the Celtics. It looks like you said, they're kind of getting gas, losing energy, with the first 3 games, and now going to Game 6. So if they win Game 6. It'll be, I think, 5 days until January 1st. June 1st. I would say that advantage is to Denver because Miami looks exhausted. You only have Jimmy Butler, you know, the main guy. Yeah, everybody chips in, but Jimmy Butler's the main guy, right? He's the one getting all the minutes, and he's basically someone really compare him to Jordan, how he's willing that team right now by himself, you know, versus the Celtics, whereas the by committee, you know, yeah, Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Marcus Smart. These are 3 of the top 20 players in the league. Jimmy Butler's only one. They only have one top 20 player with Jimmy Butler. So I would have to go, if Miami makes it, I'll have to have that game 1 to Denver.
Okay.
How do you think would that happen if it's Denver versus Miami?
Oh yeah, if it's Denver versus Miami, yeah, I would give that game 1 to Miami. I mean, not Miami, Denver, because they'd be more rested. They'd be more rested, and then you got to play in that high altitude out there. So.
Right, going from Miami all the way to Denver. Yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah, it's different.
You go from below sea level to a mile high.
A mile high in the mountains, baby.
Yeah, wow, I didn't even think about that. In other news, I was trying to look for something. Wow, you know what?
CARMELO.
Oh, yeah, right. I was looking for something, but yeah. Congratulations. And I was going to wear his jersey today, but I decided not to. Carmelo Anthony, I have that original Carmelo Anthony Denver jersey.
Yeah.
That baby blue.
You know, years ago I was going to get I don't know if you remember his first sneakers. I was going to cop those because they were dope too. They would
the white with the baby blue.
No, not those ones. Maybe it wasn't his first year. I'm talking about the black ones. They were black.
Oh, black and kind of baby blue.
Kind of baby
right,
blue,
I know
yeah.
What you're talking about.
They matched their alternate jersey. So what I was going to do, I was going to get the sneakers and I was going to get the Iverson jersey.
Yeah, the Denver Iverson jersey.
Yeah,
right.
The Denver Iverson jersey, the black one and everything. And never got. And I'm not a big sneaker. My wife says I'm a sneakerhead, but I'm not a. I know. Trust me, I know some sneakerheads.
Right.
But I'm notoriously cheap too. So I was willing to break bread on the sneakers and the jersey. So because I thought it was dope.
I still have the baby blue Denver Carmelo Anthony jersey.
Yeah. That's when he had cornrows, y'all.
Right. Yeah.
He had cornrows.
And I had the baby blue and yellow Air Force Ones.
Oh, okay.
To go with it, and a baby blue and yellow Jordan hat. And like this is in the early, mid 2000s. So if you guys
came out in 03.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
So if you know, you know. If you had on that fit, you was popping at that time. I posted on Instagram. I commented on the post like, that blue Denver jersey was platinum in the hood. I mean, come on, everyone had that jersey.
Yeah. And here's the thing about Melo. Like, Melo was people look at Melo and people look at these athletes and just remember what just happened. People have to understand. In 2003, matter of fact, let's go back a little further. When he's playing for Oak Hill, and they played St. Mary's.
They played LeBron.
LeBron.
Right.
I can't remember who won that game. I want to say Oak Hill won that game. And and you have to understand it started there.
Yes.
And you were just like, man. And then of course LeBron went.
He went straight to the pros.
They both came out the same year.
Yeah.
They went straight to the pros. But Carmelo did the 1 year at Syracuse.
Went to Syracuse, won the
and
championship.
one Boeheim is I believe that was Boeheim's only chip.
Right, and that was a jersey I wanted to get too. That
the
orange.
Syracuse jersey. Yeah,
yes.
So people remember on that team was Jerry McNamara. People don't remember this dude, Jerry McNamara, Hakeem Warwick.
Yes.
I remember they beat Kentucky, right? Or Kansas? No, they beat Kansas.
Yeah.
And it was a block, last second block. Carmelo balled out that whole series. He went pro. He gets drafted by the Denver Nuggets. Who gets drafted before him? Darko Milicic. LeBron was first, then Darko.
And the thing is, I don't mean to cut you off, but hindsight being 2020, I remember Carmelo Anthony talked about it. He hated the fact that Darko got drafted ahead of him. But if that would have happened, if he got drafted to the Pistons, remember, and the Pistons won the championship, he was like, if I got there, we win 3.
Yeah. No, and people was like, what? But think about it. Think about it. And people was like, well they already had Tayshaun Prince. I get
put
it.
him and Tayshaun Prince?
I get they had Tayshaun Prince. But people had
Tayshaun Prince, Rip Hamilton, Chauncey Billups,
Rasheed Wallace, Ben Wallace.
And Ben Wallace? Come on.
And people kept saying about, because one thing Carmelo, he didn't get along because of the Olympic stuff. We talk that. But he didn't get along with Larry Brown. Because Larry Brown was notorious for not, that's the one thing, Larry Brown was notorious for not playing young players. He was notorious for that.
He was one of those like
old school coaches.
Super old
like
school
he didn't play Jalen Rose when Jalen Rose was in there. So he's notorious for that. But I believe Joe D would have been like, look, you can get this dude some time. So in there because and he would have been, Carmelo would have been forced to play defense on that team. So he would learn how to do that. And
he possibly been a way better player.
And they would have won. I believe they would have definitely won a chip that year. And he would have a ring. And then
think about it, they go back to back. They win one, lose one.
Yeah.
That second one they probably would have won. And then I think they lost in the Eastern Conference Finals to LeBron. They beat LeBron because LeBron's by himself, and possibly beat San Antonio, because remember San Antonio swept.
Yeah.
Remember that's another time LeBron got swept.
Well,
forget he got swept against
the Spurs. I count that, but I don't like to count that because
I count it.
I count it, but he was young. I mean, he ain't had nobody with him. You know, like
that was his first time. Yeah. Exactly, but you got to count it.
No, I'm not saying don't count it. I'm saying don't count it. I just hate when people like hardcore hold it against them.
I just want to say this though, going back to Carmelo Anthony, him as a Knick, that was special.
That was special.
People say, "Oh no, he didn't win nothing right there," but as a Knick fan, and to have nothing as a Knick as far as going to the playoffs, deep in the championships from the '90s, not winning, in that mid 2000s to have Carmelo Anthony, you know, just knowing that he's going to give you 25 points, 10 rebounds or whatever every single night. You know, that whole run, like it's the last time the Knicks was in the second round was because of Carmelo Anthony. Yeah, he had the little Jeremy Lin run, you know, Amari Stoudemire in and out of the game, in and out. But that was Carmelo Anthony's team, and I really know or think that the Knicks should retire at number 7. Don't know about the Nuggets because that is Jokic's number as well, 15. There's talks about maybe they could retire both of them and all that stuff.
I think they should retire. It's okay if they retire Carmelo and Anthony. All you gotta do is pay Anthony 15. It'll be fine. I think they just make. I mean, he didn't leave there like on a good note. So. And a little bit of trivia. Did you know that if Carmelo wouldn't have signed that extension, if he wouldn't have signed for 5, he would have just signed for 3. He could have been in Miami. It was supposed to be Carmelo instead of
that was the whole plan to begin with.
Yeah. Was
them all from the Olympics. Remember the whole Young Guns, Banana Boat crew, LeBron, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony. And who was the other one? Chris Paul, right. Chris Paul, but Chris Paul was already stuck in, I think it was New Orleans, and then went to the Clippers. But Carmelo Anthony, they were supposed to team up in Miami, and he got the deal with the Knicks. So he went with the money instead of going to Miami. That's when they had to get Chris Bosh.
Yeah.
Chris Bosh wasn't going to be part of that team. It was supposed to be Carmelo Anthony.
And
So
Carmelo would have got 2 rings out of that.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, some of the decisions he made really, shaped his career negatively.
I would say he wasn't the greatest decision maker because I had a hypothetical. I had a hypothetical years ago. I was like, remember when he I forget when it was, he could have became a free agent. I think it was coming out. I forget what it was. He could have went to Memphis, and it would have been Mike Conley. I forget who the 2 guard was down there. Oh, it was Tony Allen, Carmelo, Marc Gasol, Zebo, and whoever was coming off the bench. And this was before Golden State became Golden State. You mean tell me that team couldn't have got a ring? But Carmelo was thinking New York. He was thinking New York. He was thinking, no, I gotta be in a big market, which is okay. So he just had him and Allen Iverson. They had some bad decision making. It's back then, but it's all good. Them 2 balled out too. They had a good team. They had a good team in Denver, but it was the West, and the West was loaded.
Right. He did end up in the Western Conference Finals against Kobe and
they went to 7 games.
The Lakers, right? And I remember Kobe even said that was one of his toughest series he's ever had. Having Carmelo and defend him well. That was people knocked his defense, but when he was in the playoffs, he played defense very well, and they had a chance, but Kobe was the difference, and that's when the year, if I'm not mistaken, that was the year that the Lakers did win against the Celtics in the championship.
Celtics? That was in Orlando? The Celtics?
No, because it was Kobe and Paul Gasol.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah, it's like in 2009, 2010, somewhere around there. Right. So, but congratulations to Carmelo Anthony.
Number 9 in points.
All the time.
First ballot Hall of Famer.
Yes, he will be. He will be first ballot Hall of Famer. And, much respect to him. And, he's trying to, build up his son to eventually be in the league as well. You see with LeBron and Bronny James, Carmelo and his son. I mean, I think he's a great, a good high school player as well coming up. So
I hope he does it.
Right.
I wish him nothing but the best.
And before we go to break, it looks like the Washington Commanders. Are going to have to change their name again. Now, Josh Harris, he's now the new owner of the Washington Commanders.
Yeah.
And the Commanders might have to change their name. The U.S. Patent and Trademark Office has denied their application for the term Commanders this past Thursday. The reason for denial was because of confusion with 2 other Commanders-related terms in sports. Will the nation's capital have a professional team with a 3rd different nickname? I've always said, if you're going to change the name, change it to either the Washington Senators, for obvious reasons, or people talked about calling it the Washington Red Tails, after the Black American pilots in World War II. And people have drawn up logos and everything like that, but I think that would be perfect.
I think that would be perfect too.
So, hey, get rid of the Commanders because that was a terrible name anyway.
Yeah, it was.
Or
the Senators was the name of an old baseball team they had out there in Washington.
Right, Washington Senators. You got the Ottawa Senators, in hockey, and that's where Washington Nationals came, from. From a. They used to be the Nationals a long time ago, like in the 40s or whatnot. And from the Senators, and then they changed to the Nationals.
Oh, okay, yeah, Nationals.
And then they moved. I forget where they moved to, but now we have Washington Commanders. Yeah, they gotta change that name anyway. And I think a lot of fans are calling for the name change. So I think that's gonna become soon. You deny if the trademark patent denies your name, you have to change the name. You can't keep it that way. Yeah, it has to be something else. So we're gonna come right back and with more Keep 1 Million Show.
Don't forget about boxing.
Oh, bring that up again. Yeah, we did. No, we did.
Yeah, we didn't talk
Okay,
about
next segment.
Lomo. We didn't talk about Lomo.
Right. Thanks.
And I just finished watching it too. So, yeah.
Oh, it's fresh in your mind.
Yeah, it's fresh in my mind. It's like
Jim had to come here one day and change all this music. I forgot how to do all that on this one. He had another system called Zara. And that was so easy. He just drag and drop. This one's kind of different. You gotta click in another one in there and do that, and schedule it and all that. So I'm gonna have talk to Kaj and he can kind of refresh me up on how to do it. I want to know this. The music, I want to change all that music and all that. So
I need to get with my homeboy, man. He said he's gonna give me these beats.
yeah, do that.
And he ain't hit me back. He ain't back in a couple months. So I'm gonna get with him. Like, yo, man, what's up with them beats, man? They all original beats too. No samples.
Right.
They all original
Yeah,
beats.
sometimes you gotta chase people down.
He probably
come back.
Yeah, he probably forgot. Or not forgot to hit me back.
Keep 1 Million Show. I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
And definitely a talk about Devin Haney versus Vitaly Lomachenko. Controversial fight. Me personally, I think it could have went to a draw.
Yeah,
very close fight. Very contested fight. Very, very high level boxing. I can say that. Very high level technical boxing. Two of the most technical boxers right now in the sport. Was it 135 they're at?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
You just watched it. What did you think?
I believe that, Haney won those early rounds, like 1 through 7, and but they were close. It wasn't like he blew the man away. They were close, but I believe like Lomo towards the end started turning up. And Lomo was usually a slow starter, but he wasn't a slow starter. It was just like it was just a really technical fight. And I can say this: rounds 10 and 11, Lomo definitely won. I mean, he opened up them combinations inside. He was like, man, and he kept finding a home for that straight right hand. He was timing Haney. Every time Haney threw that jab, Lomo would maybe get hit or maybe slip it, and then time that right hand straight down. Now, Haney's going to be careful if he fights Tank next, because he might mess around and get knocked out. He get knocked out. And of course, you got Shakur Stevenson there as well. So it was a close fight. I can see why people would say it was a draw. I can see why people would believe that Lomo got robbed, got cheated. But I'm not mad. I'm not mad that Haney won. I'm not. It was close. It was close on the judges' cards. So it just was a tough fight to score. Even Max Kellerman said that. Tough fight to score.
Yeah, it was a very tough fight to score because they were fighting inside so much.
Yeah.
And it was kind of hard to tell, who was getting the better shots off. Haney was actually going low a lot, very more than I thought. That's how I was seeing it. Was like he was going low to the body, Loma was going high to the head, and those shots were, the very crowd pleasers. He was getting his shots off, and you know, what were the judges looking at? Were they looking at that? Were they looking at what Haney was doing, you know, in the body? And Loma had, to me, it seemed like Loma had more combinations.
Yeah.
And he eluded a lot of Haney's, you know, attacks, you know, in the middle of the rounds as well. And then, like I said, the 10th and 11th round, that was Loma. He should have, I think he should have been more aggressive to try to knock him down in that 10th and 11th round, but he didn't.
Yeah.
So I think that kind of gave the judges a bit of pause. And then the 12th round, they gave it to Haney. I think all three judges gave the 12th round to Haney.
Haney won. The way I looked at it, Haney won the 12th round. There's enough to win. I believe that's what gave Haney the fight, actually, was him winning that 12th round. And definitely, if Haney would have went down in either the 10th or 11th, that would have been a Loma would have won if he would have went down. But hey, it was a heck of a fight. Loma's not out though. I mean, he still can get some fight because if Haney goes to fight Tank, Loma can fight Shakur Stevenson. So it's still good.
Good thing is, after the fight was so interesting, was Shakur Stevenson walks in the ring and stares down Haney. They have words. After Loma and Haney gets interviewed, they interview Shakur. He breaks down the fight, what he saw, and he calls out Haney. He wants Haney. And what I was talking about before, this is what sells fights. Shakur Stevenson, you know, there's this picture that, I mean, it's probably the best boxing picture I've seen, where it's a picture of Shakur Stevenson staring at Haney, and Haney's looking, you know, off to the left, and I mean the picture's just a great picture, but this is how you sell fights. When you have this potential Earl Spence Crawford fight, it could happen July 29th. Hopefully it does.
Yeah.
But everyone can see he don't know how to sell fights. Even Bob Arum talking about they're boring and this and that and the third.
Bob Arum said they were boring.
I mean, the reason why, you know, talking about mainly about Crawford. Remember, Crawford had this issue with him. They went to a lawsuit. Now he's you know, independent promoter, promoting himself. And the thing is, Shakur Stevens, he knows how to sell a fight, or who, you know, his team. I forget who's behind him. I think it's I forget who's promoting Stevenson, but he knows how to sell it. He knows, you know, he has to ruffle feathers. He's talking smack. He's, you know, getting in the ring and this, that, and the third to try to get him to fight him. He's called him out for years. He said he's been calling for 4 years, and Tank Davis is also calling him out. He said that's his next fight. He wants to fight Haney. Which fight do you think is best for Haney?
Shakur Stevenson. I'm not saying because he could beat Shakur Stevenson. I'm saying he has a better chance to beat Stevenson. Because I believe Tank is a pound for pound best out there, and I believe Tank will get him out of there, man. Now I'm not saying he can get him out of there in the first round, but I believe he can get him out of there. So, but this has a opportunity to be great. Those three fighters. It reminds me of Hackler, Hearns, and Sugar Ray Leonard, man. Like I mean, you can't forget about Roberto Duran and all these other guys that was out there too. But those three I just named, they all three of those guys I just named, Hackler, Leonard, Hearns, they all fought each other.
Yeah.
They all fought each other.
And,
man.
And like I said, I just brought up the Spence Crawford match.
Yeah.
This as well could be a super fight. We just seen two great fights in the past couple months. With Tank Davis winning.
Ryan Garcia.
Right. Now you have the Lomachenko Haney fight. It is all the fight we've been wanting. So it's all good.
Oh yeah.
Now we get the fight we've always wanted. If it happens, hopefully it does, July 29th.
And I read somewhere that it's a rematch clause in there.
Yes.
So no matter who wins, it will be a rematch.
Right.
And then somebody said, I think it was Skip and Shannon. Skip said, "Is it going to be Gaddy Ward?" I was like, probably not, because to me, Gaddy Ward, the best trilogy I ever saw. Even Ali Frazier, better than Ali Frazier. That Gaddy Ward And the thing I liked about the first Gaddy War, guess what? It was on ESPN. It wasn't even on pay-per-view.
It was on Friday Night Fights.
It was on Friday Night Fights.
Exactly.
Them dudes went to war, man. I mean, man, I remember Gaddy got hit with that body shot, went down, got back up, and finished around. I'm like, oh my God, these dudes. It was so crazy. Gaddy's in the Hall of Fame too. People don't think he belongs it, but he's in the Hall of Fame.
Right. Now, just reading about this fight and everything that comes with it, you know, you have the issues with the promotion, you know, you have the issues with money, you have the issues with venue, you know, with dates and everything like that. The problem is really, with this whole situation is, you know, will we get a undisputed champion? And you have, you know, Earl Spence has, you know, the WBC, IBF, and WBA belts. Crawford has the WBO belt. The main issue is, I'm not sure, are they putting up these belts? That's what I'm reading. I'm trying to make sure if they are. It should be. They should be putting up the belts for unification.
Put them all
But
up.
I'm reading it.
I know it's a lot of ins and outs with these sanctioning bodies, and because a lot of them you have mandatories. That's why I don't know if you ever saw a fight where these two fighters are fighting. Well, this one guy, he got these 3 belts. This one guy got 1 belt, but the guy that got these 3 belts, he has to drop a belt because to fight this guy, he had to deny mandatory, so he had to drop the belt, like and fight this guy, and then you have to pay fees too to all those organizations. I mean, it's so many. They call them alphabet titles. There's so many of them. I mean, it's like IBO, IBF, WBC, WBA, WBO, and you're like, geez. You know, I remember at one time when Bernard Hopkins, middleweight, had all of them, including the ring title. You just like, man, it's so many of them that I stopped caring. At one point, I was like, let's just see the best fighters fight each other. Who cares about the titles?
Yeah.
What did Mayweather say? I fight for checks, not belts.
yeah, that's true. But this is gonna be a straight, I would say, coin flip. I'm not sure who I would go for right now. I'm gonna have to go back to their older fights and
talking
see.
about Crawford and Spence?
I don't know. Like, who do you go for? Who do you think is gonna win this fight? They're both undefeated. They're both world champions.
Earlier,
you know,
like
they're
last
both at
year.
the top of their game. They're both in the middle of their prime.
Yeah, earlier last year, I said Crawford late stoppage. Then I said Spence if Spence was to win by decision. It's tough, man. It's really tough. And though that car accident took a lot off of Spence, you know, not trying to make excuses for him if he lost. I'm just saying it did. It's a known fact that it did. So it's just interesting. I don't believe either one is going to get knocked out cold. I believe Crawford can stop Spence, but now I don't think he'll knock out cold. So I just gotta go, like you said, go back and watch some of the early fights. They both fought Sean Porter. And I didn't see the Spence Porter fight. I saw the Porter Crawford fight, and Porter was one. You know, Porter was one of those type fighters. You call him I called him a A- fighter, B+ fighter, something like that. Where he could beat really good fighters, but he couldn't beat really great fighters. You know, so I remember watching him fight Keith Thurman, and he did a heck of a job. I mean, he didn't get beat up; he just lost the fight, and he never. The only fight I ever seen him lose was Crawford. When Crawford dropped him twice, and his dad Kenny threw the towel in, was like, nah, because you know Crawford's a great finisher. And the crazy thing about it was, I said it before the fight started. If Porter doesn't go down, he could win the fight. because that's what happened with Spence. I believe he would have beat Spence if Spence wouldn't have dropped him. Spence dropped him in the fight, and that's what it was. That's what got Spence over. You know, so I want to hear because I watched Porter on YouTube. He fought both of these guys. I want to hear his take on it. I would love to hear his take on this to see who he would have.
Right. Yeah, I'm reading about this, and it seems like Spence is the more natural 147, where Crawford moving up to 147. So we'll see if that plays a role in the fight. Who's the bigger, stronger fighter?
Who's the most natural boxer? Who's the most
right?
I can't remember. I got it.
Right. Yeah. This is a coin flip. This is a real pick'em, as they say in the you know, in the betting world. This is that's a straight pick'em, and they're gonna get 8 figures. It's gonna be a
they're gonna get their money.
It's gonna be because, like you said, it's not necessarily a mandatory rematch, but they have in clause where they have 30 days to put in a rematch. So whoever loses can implement the rematch clause,
which they will.
And that's what won't happen with Haney and Lomachenko, because Lomachenko is crying foul about the fight, because
he is.
It was that 116-112.
That's what it was, 116-112. Yeah.
The other ones was 115,
113.
Right, 115, 113. The 116-112 was like, it was closer than that. It was a lot closer than that. Like I said, I see it as a draw or a split decision for Lomachenko.
Well, even if that judge would have gave him a draw, because it was unanimous decision.
Right.
So Haney would have took it anyway.
Now, the pound for pound best, you know, but Crawford is the best. We have Spence at number 4, Alvarez at 5, Bivol 6, Tyson Fury 7, Benavidez at 8, Haney is 9. He was up. Shakur Stevenson they have at 10, going down from 9. Usyk is 3. Inoue is 2. He's the junior featherweight.
Got the little guy in there.
Right. Earl Spence is 4. And there is also another big fight. July 25th, Inoue, who was the undefeated junior featherweight champion, he fights Stephen Fulton July 25th. Okay. So, yeah, there's going to be a lot of major fights this summer. Benavidez, light heavyweight, he's 19-0. He's fighting Callum Smith August 19th. You know, so, and then like I said, Shakur Stevenson is waiting. Tank Davis is waiting. Now, like I talked about before we go, everyone said Tank Davis is the face of boxing. He's nowhere near the top 10 of this ESPN's pound for pound ranking. He's not on there. Shakur Stevenson is.
Yeah.
So
that's
when it comes to pound for pound best, I know we have to see this Earl Spence Crawford fight to see who is pound for pound, who is the face, and we know swag, we know confidence and all that stuff we talked about. Selling a fight goes into play with all this, and this is why I think Tank is at that top. Why Shakur Stevenson is talked about as one of them, and also the others, Canelo Alvarez and all that, because you do have to have that showmanship. You have to have that showmanship when it comes to being a boxer, and frankly, Earl Spence and Crawford don't have it. That is a big problem. So hopefully they can sell this fight and not just be like, okay, well, July 29th, and then July 29th comes, it's like, okay, there it is.
You know who's can sell a fight and they can take tips from? Prince Nassim.
Oh my, you're absolutely right.
Prince Nassim.
Prince Nassim was a great. I mean, he wasn't a great boxer.
Well, wasn't a great boxer,
but he could sell a damn fight. And then the interest was amazing.
Yeah, the interest is backflips and all that.
Yeah.
Now he only lost, I believe, one fight. He lost to Marco Antonio Barrera, who just beat him up the whole fight. I'm just, But Nas, he should be in the Hall of Fame. I mean, he did enough to get in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
That dude could sell a fight, man.
Yes, he could.
Was not a fan of his, but he could sell a
Right.
fight.
Right. With that being said, I'm Dwayne.
Sean P.
And we'll be back next week to talk more NBA, most likely talk about the NBA Finals.
Yes.
And talk about everything in between in the sports world and more. So keep it locked right here. Thanks everybody for watching on Instagram and YouTube. And everyone listening on KRDP. And we're out.
Be safe. Be safe, y'all.